The face of addiction is anyone. It's you, it's me, it's your next door neighbor. It doesn't matter what neighborhood you come from in this city.
You see them come through the emergency department, you see them come through psychiatry. It's happening more and more frequently.
It's everywhere.
So I'm just going to ask you some questions, sort of get some demographics from you, find out about your addiction history, that kind of stuff. Okay. My name is Pam. I'm a registered psychiatric nurse, and one of my roles is to work in the emergency department as the psych nurse. So in your history, have you ever experienced any blackouts?
Yes.
Okay. We've seen an increase in the number of people coming through with a substance-induced psychosis. And how often do you use?
Every day.
We do have an addiction crisis in Saskatchewan. It's been building slowly for years, but I think it's accelerated rather quickly within the past 2 to 3 years.
When you think about what the addictions are that we deal with in our community, oftentimes they're very strong, causing people to engage in high-risk behavior, do things that they might not normally do.
It's your neighbor that's an alcoholic that you don't know about. It's, the guy down the street that's popping pills. It doesn't matter whether you're poor or you're wealthy. It can be anybody.
I'm Braden, I'm 20 years old, and I'm a university student. Grew up in a good middle-class family. My parents supported everything I did.
Hockey was his first love, which led into baseball, and he would practice for hours to get to be the best.
They won these nationals for the Little League, and off they would go to the Little League World Series.
I was the starting pitcher, and this was a dream come true for any kid playing baseball growing up.
He was with us most weekends somewhere playing baseball. And then one day he wasn't. One day he started drinking with some of his friends.
Right from the first drink, it was definitely something inside me that clicked. Like a burning desire in me to get more. I started using every day. It started blacking out all the time. It just becomes everything you think about. Everything you do is based on how to get that next fix.
This was like somebody else's kid had come and moved into my house, and I didn't know what to do with it anymore.
I think what people need to realize is addiction is not a choice.
So you'll be going with him once in a while?
It's a chronic disease.
It's a disease of the brain.
The addiction changes who they are.
I was so scared. There was no stopping it, and I kept thinking I'm going to wake up in the morning and he's going to be dead.
We as society tend to stereotype what we think someone with an addiction problem looks like and acts like. That's not the case. But it's amazing to me how many people will come up to me, people that I would work with actually on a regular basis, who would disclose that they've got a family member, a very close loved one who's dealing with addiction problems.
My name is Lauren, and my brother was an addict. Taylor was a charismatic boy. Everything that he did, he was good at. He was not just drinking. He was not just smoking marijuana. He was smoking crystal meth, smoking crack. He was doing everything. Things were spiraling out of control, and my family was in denial around how bad it was getting.
Jordan was born in 1987. He had lots of friends. He was your typical kid. By the time he was probably 14, I saw that there was something going on. Finally, one of his friend's moms called me and said, "Do you even know what he's doing?" And I'm just, "No, not really. What are you talking about?" Jordan's been using crack cocaine. What do you do with that? My kid's 14 years old.
We see opiates, cocaine, crack cocaine, crystal meth has become a really big thing in Saskatchewan within the past few years.
When was the last time that you used?
Right before I came.
Right before you came. And do you have any support with family or friends at the moment?
No.
Nothing at all.
It's cheaper and easier for people to access these substances.
So do you want to tell me a little bit about what's going on right now? Because this is a disease, there could be a variety of family members that may be struggling, wanting to get support.
I think there's a very strong stigma out there regarding addiction. It's just easier to ignore it and to, attach shame to it than to do anything about it.
It's just harder for people to come forward when people look down at the situation, look down at addictions in general.
The stigma around addiction is pushing people away from the recovery.
He had plans of, maybe trying to go back to school, work, go to treatment, try and get his life together. He was in bed, and I could tell that he was already gone. It was clearly an overdose, and then we found out later that it was a cocktail of substances in his body. Joe down the street might have just thought he was a junkie, but he was my baby. Now he's just gone.
There's so much relapse. The risk of relapse is really, really high if you're not in a program, if you're not being looked after, if you're not looking after yourself.
So he stayed sober for 2 years, and then slowly the relapse happened. And then within the year, he overdosed and died on October 3rd. 2.5 years he had sobered up, and within the year, he was dead.
There has been an addiction crisis for many, many, many years. What's happening to bring it to the forefront is that people are dying at an alarming rate.
How's your day so far?
It's okay.
Excellent. This could be you. Addiction is extremely common. It's extremely potent. It's lethal. But it's treatable. So let's talk about options for treatment.
There was a lot of sadness in our house. There was a lot of anger in our house. There was a lot of desperation.
I finally just kind of had enough of the pain and the suffering of having nobody trust me, always disappointing people.
We started looking into treatment here in the province, and they told me it was a 3-month wait list. And I thought, I can't wait 3 months. He's going to die. I needed help now. The counselor that we were seeing was saying, well, if you can afford it, there's treatment tomorrow in BC.
I let them run my life for 90 days. I did all the steps. Now I got just about 7 months clean and living better than I ever have.
His attitude is good and positive. He's upbeat. He wants to do something with his life.
My boy is back. We're a family. We've been operating as a family again.
Pick up fork him.
Oh, come on, you guys. Jeez.
It's very easy to use. It's a few simple steps that I can walk you through today. I think it's important to educate people very early in terms of addictions.
Let's put a lot of our efforts in prevention, early detection, early treatment and management of patients before it gets serious to the point where we're dealing with overdoses.
In an ideal world, we need 24/7 access to a specialist. I think eliminating the wait lists would be a key.
We need long-term care. We need long-term treatment plans. It has to be immediate and it has to be long-term.
First Nations communities need more help and support in regard to getting addiction support. Things that we would think are so easy to access, there's great barriers out there.
I think a big part of solving the addiction problem is being able to provide people with off-ramps. It may be a link to a support or service. In other cases, it may be a center where they can go to completely rid themselves of their addiction and ultimately get themselves on a healthy lifestyle.
The way out is fraught with all sorts of problems because we as a society still do not understand that this is an organic brain disease.
If you had diabetes or, heart condition or cancer, people are very sympathetic to it. But as soon as you have an addiction, it's swept under the carpet. It's not talked about.
We have to attack stigma because it's the primary big wall that's in the way of patients actually coming forward to tell us what's going on.
Probably every family in Saskatchewan's had problems with it, but how many do you hear about, right?
If you're struggling with addiction and you don't know what to do, reach out for help.
Just check out a meeting, what it's all about. Narcotics Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous. Just find a meeting, go to it.
An addict is your son, is your daughter, is your brother, is your mom, is your dad, anybody in your life.
We have to open up our minds, we have to open up our hearts, and we have to essentially be prepared to roll up our sleeves and work collaboratively to solve this problem.
If we really want to save lives, we need to get front and center of this thing, and we need to do it together. There's no time to waste.
There is help. There is people that are willing to go on this journey with you, that are willing to see you be the best version of yourself that you can possibly be.